Hi, my name is Doug Harkins, and we're here at the Inspiration Nation team call, and I have the privilege of introducing to you today Melody Ryba. Melody has been on the top earner board in Unlimited Profits since its beginning in January of this month when they started taking records. She is a wonderful network marketer and teacher and coach, and helps point and guide you through Robert Hollis's Unlimited Profits program. We also have the privilege of having a special guest with us today, Mr. Bob Cline. Bob and I have known each other for many years, and looking forward to a lot of inspirational quotes from him today. So with that, I'm going to send it back to Melody Ryba, our host and producer of Inspiration Nation team calls. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. I really appreciate that. And how can you not have a good day when you have such wonderful people saying wonderful things about you all the time? So that really means a lot to me. I love Thursdays, guys. I say this every week. This is our team call. This is the time where we get to come together and share some things that inspire us during the day, maybe answer some questions that you have throughout the week. And but today I'm going to limit those questions for you guys because I want to hear from, we have Mr. Bob Cline, very successful man that I have just admired kind of from afar for a while, really looked up to, and I want him to come and share his story with us. So today, in just a minute, but right now I feel like there was a video that came across my computer today, and I wasn't going to share a video with you, but I felt like this video really touched my heart and some of the things that we've been talking about throughout the team. So I'm going to play that for you real quick, and then we're going to talk to Bob Cline. Let me share my screen. Guys, I'm so not real good at this, so bear with me here.
After being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried.
You don't see it.
What? Oh, you don't see it? It said it was sharing.
No, I don't see it.
Okay, I told you I wasn't good at this. Hold on. Let me come back. I said share screen, and it's not sharing the screen. Do you see me?
I only see you.
Okay. The subject of this is failing and how to fail your way to success, and I know a lot of us go through those failures, so I want you to see some of the greatest people that failed before they succeeded. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it big.
After being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. He wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old, and his teachers said he would never amount to much. Was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. Fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. At age 11, he was cut from his team after being diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency, which made him smaller in stature than most kids his age. At 30 years old, he was left devastated and depressed after being unceremoniously removed from the company he started. A high school dropout whose personal struggles with drugs and poverty culminated in an unsuccessful suicide attempt. A teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything, and that he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. Rejected by Decca recording studios, who said, "We don't like their sound. They have no future in show business." His first book was rejected by 27 publishers. His fiancée died, failed in business, had a nervous breakdown, and was defeated in 8 elections. If you've never failed, you've never tried anything new.
Wow, guys. Were you moved by that like I was? You know, I know we've been talking. I'm gonna try to come back to my screen here. I know we've been talking a lot lately about how hard things are in life and the challenges that we have, and I can't tell you how many times I failed and how many times I gave up on not only myself, but ever thinking that I could succeed at anything. And I've got goosebumps from that video. I don't know about you guys, but it's so important for us to learn by those failures. I don't think there's anybody on here that can tell me they never failed at something. The important thing is that we grow from those failures. And really, we need a reason. We need a clear vision, a clear-cut why. We need to continue to keep growing, to keep moving forward, and to not give up. So that's really kind of what we want to talk about today, and I'm super excited to have Mr. Bob Cline with us. This gentleman, like I said earlier, I've just really admired him kind of from afar. Didn't really know him real well. But every time I was at an event or something, he was probably the sharpest dresser there. He just seemed like he owned what was going on. He was so humble and so generous and kind. And I just recently learned his background, a little bit about his background. And I know as a co-owner for Limited Profits with Robert Hollis, he's been, you know, working with Robert. He has a friendship with Robert. He's worked side by side with Robert for many, many years. And I just want you to come out, Bob, and share some of those experiences, a little bit about your background and how Robert has really changed your life. Would you do that, sir?
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm so honored, first of all, that you invited me to be on here. And it was great to watch that video. I'm honored, first of all, to just be part of a team like this. This is really incredible. But that video, I did get to meet Michael Jordan. Of course, I didn't meet Thomas Edison or Einstein, but I met Michael Jordan on several occasions, and one of the neat things about him is he's such a nice person. And he's really a low-key individual in terms of talking and interacting with people. And yet out on the court, if you've ever watched him, and most of you have seen him, you know, at least he's famous in ads for Nike stuff, he's just, it seems like he's just a driven individual. And yet you saw there he had early in life, he had a big failure with getting cut from this team. You know, he did a little commercial, which is what I thought you were going to show when it first started. He had a commercial that was, let's see, it went something like I shot 22 of game losing shots, you know, or something like that. He went on to recount his failures, how many times he was given the ball at the last second and he dropped it. And and yet, of course, he has the record that he has. It's truly an amazing story. And I love that story because he said that his failures and his willingness to fail was his key to success. His willingness to fail and to understand that failing is just a stepping stone towards success. And that's one of the reasons why he got up and got back in the game, after he was cut from the team. And of course, everyone knows he's just gone on to be a legend. And I study people like that, and then it was great to actually get to meet him because most people don't get to meet someone like that. But I study people like that, and Steve Jobs is someone else, and Bill Gates and so forth. I study people like that have just had a history of failure, and yet there's successes, but they've had a history of failure, and you've got to look at who they are to have the constitution, the personal character to make it through, to push through all of those trials that they went through. And that, of course, is just a short list. There's thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs that have similar stories. Robert Hollis is one of them. Robert hasn't always been successful. He's got an incredible record of success, but most people don't know about the downsides that he's experienced. I've known him long enough to have been there with him a couple of times. I think maybe Doug has seen a couple of times, but he's the kind of person, and honestly, we all have to be this way, that if you lost everything, that you would get it all back again. If you took everything away from Robert Hollis, cars, houses, money, bank accounts, is there any doubt in any of your minds that Robert would get it back again? I'm pausing to let you think, but there's no doubt in my mind that Robert would get it. He'd get it back again. And it's not just because he knows what to do. People go, well, yeah, of course. He knows what to do because he's done it before. That's not just the simple answer, because it takes something to get back up each time and go at it again. It takes some mustering up of something inside of you. It takes some recentering of your energy and so forth. And Zig Ziglar said it best, you have to be before you can do, and you have to do before you can have. And Jim Rohn loved that quote from Zig. You have to be before you can do. And Jim Rohn was a master of being, and Robert Hollis is a master of being. It's not what Robert knows, and not even what Robert does. It's who Robert is being while he does it. That's really the key. And everybody knows you'd never be able to beat Robert Hollis. You would never be able to take everything away from him and have him lose. He would come back, and he would regain everything. And that's the best illustration I can give of someone that we all personally know, because we all know Robert, not personally necessarily meeting him face to face, but you know him well enough because of the times that we've spent on videos with him. And you know that what I'm saying is true. He's just that kind of a person. You have to be before you can do. So I used to have a to-do list every day, and I'm not going to lie to you, I still have somewhat of a to-do list, but I get up more in the mornings thinking about who I'm going to be today, who I'm going to be, what kind of person am I going to be, and that just fuels me to interact in the right kind of energy framework, so to speak, with the universe, for those of you who've read the book. And so that's how I try to structure my days. So when Robert talks about the perfect day, I start in the meditation, and I get my mind right before I ever do any of the steps that are required to get to success. I try to get my mind right. I try to be the right person, and then I try to move forward. So now, as far as me personally, what has Robert done? I think when I met Robert in 1995, I was probably a pretty selfish person. I'd had a lot of success in life, but it wasn't a sustained kind of success. And when I saw what Robert had, I wanted that. I wanted that peace that he had, and I wanted the security that he had that I didn't have. I had money, but it just wasn't the same as what he had. But I was very impressed because I wanted to help nonprofit organizations make money using network marketing, and that's how I met Robert, and we became friends. And I think with the way he describes it is, you don't try to grab somebody and turn them around if they're going in the wrong direction. You start walking alongside of them, like shoulder to shoulder, and then you slowly twist just slightly in the one direction you want to go. And then you just twist slightly a little more, and over a period of time, and then maybe a great distance, you can turn a person so that they're getting on the right course. And that's what Robert did for me. So it wasn't like it was a dramatic, hit me in the head with a 2x4. He did that a couple times, seriously, not with a 2x4, but with something that would jolt me. But it was those gentle little nudgings over time that really began to get me going in the right direction. And so from the time that I met him, I began to see improvement in a lot of different areas in my life. I wasn't as selfish, and I began to get along better with my family and with business partners, and my team began to grow in a healthy way, and I began to get prosperous. So that's what Robert Hollis has done for me. I don't think, if I had to put it in terms of dollars, what it's been worth, I would tell you that I can never repay Robert Hollis for what I've received. So now I want to talk about the failure piece a little bit more, because I know you've probably heard Robert talk about the emotional roller coaster. And it is this business and entrepreneurship is an emotional roller coaster. But and of course you have to pick yourself up again. But I want you to recognize that I had to learn that failure is just a step in the process. So the value of visualizing a roller coaster is that eventually you get accustomed to those ups and downs. You never ignore them. They never go away. But you become accustomed to them. And the same is true with failure. When things don't go as fast as you want them or the way that you want them, you get accustomed to the fact that it's just a normal part. It's just a day-to-day normal part. People say they're going to show up. They don't. People say they're going to sign. They don't. People say they're going to watch a video. They don't. People say they're going to get on the overview. They don't. It's just, and you really have to learn not to take it personally. Like Jim Rohn says, don't take that course. Just don't take that course. It's not about you. And I had to learn that. It took me a long time to recognize that it's just a series of stepping stones. So the philosophy of collecting no's as opposed to looking for yeses is that if you're collecting no's, you cannot collect enough no's to keep you from getting a yes every now and then. If you collect enough no's, you will get the yeses that you need. And some might consider the no a failure. But Jim Rohn used to say, no, that just means I'm closer to a yes. That's all it means, is that I'm one step closer to getting a yes. Finding another diamond, finding someone with the moxie and the courage. And now to put the last part of it in there, it's what Melody said. And I want to give it back to Melody and Scott and Doug. I've known them a long time. Susan, I've known you a long time. There's each of you has your own why, your own personal purpose that is driving you. And Jim Rohn said, when you find out, and this is one of those subtle things, if you listen to the audios that Robert gives out on Jim Rohn, you can go to thankyujimrohn.com. And if you listen to those audios, it's very, very indistinct. You've got to listen very carefully. But Jim Rohn said, when I figured out what it was that drove me I had it done. It was over. It was done. When I figured out what it was that drove me. Now, it's not simple. We have so many competing distractions in our world today. But if you can figure out what it is that really drives you, you got it. You got it. Now, that, I'm telling you, is not easy. I'll give you a suggestion on how I really got to the core of that for me personally. But I challenge each of you to get to that why and get it to be so vivid, because when you do that, nothing will stop you. When you find out what it is that drives you, you will not let anything stop you. You just won't. I remember hearing a guy doing a presentation, a training, and something actually slipped out of his mouth, and when he said it, he was a little surprised at himself, but he said, success is a journey. Success is a journey. And then he said, success is a habit. That's what slipped out of his mouth. Success is a habit. Now think about it. If you cannot have success as a habit without having failure as a habit. You simply can't run races and win every race. You're going to miss some races, and it's just part of the success journey or the success habit. That's it. It's that simple. But we get caught up into thinking that we're not performing and there's something wrong with us, or we start telling ourselves all the wrong stories that, hey, there's no way I can do this, I can't achieve, I've got all these problems with my background and all of this. No, none of that's true. Success is a journey. Many people have gone ahead of us and have proven this, and we just saw a few examples. But just within our own team, all of it, if you watch all the Diamond, all of their stories, it's story after story after story of overcoming. What does that mean, overcoming? It means overcoming all the negative, overcoming all the failures, all the self-doubts, all the problems that have come up in life. So that's what I've learned from Robert Hollis, and I think this is to your team is just an incredible team. And you know, where we are right now as a company of teams is we're poised because there's huge change going on. I don't have to tell you. You look at the political scene, the economic scene in our country, you look at the weather, we're in a season of change. And people need something they can hold on to. People need something that is substantial. People need something they can believe in. People need something they can count on. And right now, we're one of those few things out there that's solid. We're only a tiny little company at this point, but we're one of the few that is really solid, rock solid, that people can count on. So I'm really proud to be on your team call. I'm proud to be a part of this company, and if I can help in a tiny way, I'm happy to do that. If you've got a couple of questions, I'm happy to answer them. If Melody, you got some questions, happy to help.
Thank you so much, Bob, and we really are truly honored to have you as part of our family here today, and that's one of the things I love about Unlimited Profits is because it doesn't matter what team or whatever, who signed who, it doesn't matter. We all work together, and we all see each other as a family. And I know all of us leaders and work together, and it's just an amazing thing as far as change within our world, the world around us. You know, I was one of those people that was really afraid of change. Things in my life were really, really bad. And you would think that I would be the first one to want to embrace change, but change was very uncomfortable for me until I realized I needed to do something different to get that change in my life. And that's when I made the decision to be mentored by Robert. You always seem, Bob, as so put together to me. So you just have that posture of just having being the whole package there, having it put together. Is there any time in your life where you felt like you didn't have control? Maybe you were afraid of change, and I mean, you just seem like you got it. Were you always that way?
No, I definitely was not. So I'm getting an echo, so maybe you need to mute. Okay. I was overweight as a child, and my father and mother divorced when I was very young. My father was a very famous scientist and didn't have time, never came to one of my ball games, never came to a school project, church project, camping trip. Just was really an absentee father. And I struggled with self-esteem most of my life. And it's taken lots of what do you call these things? I guess you call them trainings, but that's not what they call it. But it's almost a counseling situation. There's a special name for it, and I can't think of it right now, but it'll come to me. But yeah, I had to overcome a lot. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying that I know that there are people out there that are afraid to talk to people. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of success. They don't know who they are. They are because I was there. That was me, and I was very shy in all the way through high school, and it was just it was an overcoming. But over time, I began to think, wait a minute, this can't just be something wrong with me. And I began to see, a glimmer of hope, and I began to grow. And of course, when I met Robert, that helped a great deal because Robert's the kind of person that he laughs and jokes with you, but he gives you resources, books to read, videos to watch, movies to watch, and so on, that help you grow, help you think, help you sort through the issues that you have. And so, yeah, I've had some ups and downs in life. I have had some amazing successes in life, climbed the corporate ladder, not that far from the top of a very, very large corporation, commended, rewarded, promoted, and fired all in a 30-day period. And the politics of the corporate world is amazing. That's the day I became an entrepreneur. But I went from a very, very cush job to being dead broke in literally overnight. So, I've had those ups and downs. But, right now I have some really, really passionate purposes in my life. And I want to tell you how I got those, because maybe that'll help some of you. I didn't always have it. In fact, I didn't know what my purpose was. If you don't have a lot of self-value or self-worth, if you don't think you're any good at anything or worth anything, then the chances are you won't be thinking that you could actually accomplish anything. And I'll tell you a little story about something that happened to me. And Robert and I, this goes back to the very beginnings of Unlimited Profits, but we had a school teacher who believed in us, and she invested some money in the company, and I had called to give her a report, and things had not gone that well. And I said, we made some mistakes. We could have done this better, and I feel so sorry because she was my contact that I brought to the company. So I felt responsible, and I was apologizing, and she said, you don't need to apologize. And I said, well, we made some mistakes. It could have been different. And she said, you don't need to worry about your mistakes. And I said, well, I just feel responsible. And she said, would you stop? And I said, okay, what do you mean? She said, I told you don't need to worry about your mistakes. Those get taken care of. And I said, what? Now, I was sitting at my desk. I had my feet up on my desk, talking to her, and I'll never forget this day. And she said, listen, would you agree with me that God is perfect? And I said, well, yeah, of course he's perfect. And I'm like, what does that have to do with me? And she said, well, would you agree that if God was perfect, then he could not have any faults? And I said, well, okay, yes, he doesn't have any faults. She said, then he can't be wasteful either. And I said, what? She got my attention really quick. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, he didn't waste your mistakes, Bob. He didn't waste your failures. Now, that's a deep concept, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, my feet came off the desk and I grabbed something to write with. The only thing I could find to write with was one of these yellow sticky pads. And I started writing what she said. She said, he didn't waste your failures. He's not wasting your mistakes. If they were wasted, then he would be wasteful, and he's not wasteful. And she went on to recount some horrible events in history that were not wasteful, like the World Trade Center, the aftermath of the positive side of that event. And she went on, the Hurricane Katrina, the tsunami, and we could go on and on and on. It has changed the world for the better. We have in this country a security system today that we never would have had if it wasn't for 9/11. And we need to recognize that there's another side to evil, and that is the ability to God to take something horrible and turn it out to be more good than bad. And so when she taught me that, it struck me that, you know, I wasn't alone in this world like I thought I might be, and that what I had thought was a mess might not have been such a mess, and it certainly couldn't be a waste, or God would be wasteful. It gave me worth just hearing that, and I'll never forget her for doing that. Retired school teacher, primary grade teacher. And so I began to try to think about what I really wanted. And I was doing the Jim Rohn, like I told you, of who am I, you know, who am I to be and whatever. And I began with 3x5 cards. And what I did was I used those 3x5 cards to write my goals on. Now, I was also writing scriptures and famous quotes on these cards, but I was also using them to put down my goals. And then over time, I actually got pictures to represent some of those goals and put them on the 3x5 cards. And after a while, the 3x5 cards got to be, you know, a pretty thick stack. Now, I still have those, but I would look at them every day and meditate on those goals. And things started to happen, and I started to move towards those goals. It just started to happen. This is back when the movie The Secret was popular, and we began to talk about the law of attraction. And I was looking at these pictures and thinking and mulling things over in my mind every single day, and I still do that today. But what has happened is those tangible things, you know, sailboats and houses and whatever, cars, have more evolved into more intangible things, helping orphanages and helping with some of the health problems around the world. Those things have become more important to me, and I can get more passionate about those, helping with the energy crisis that we have right now. We definitely have an energy crisis. And those kinds of things that I'm working on, that's where my purpose is seated now, is in a much higher plane. But I started out with these simple 3x5 cards. Now, if you want a challenge, you can start, if you don't have any 3x5 cards, you can take a yellow legal pad, and you've got to go somewhere for a minimum of 4 hours. If you can get to the beach or the mountains or river or lake, if you can't, then you go to a city park. If you can't do that, you go to a very luxurious hotel lobby or sit out on the patio by the pool. Minimum 4 hours, no cell phone, meaning it doesn't ring, you don't have it with you, no computer, you just want blank paper and a pen. And you just start to let your mind open up to possibilities, and you write down a goal on a card or on your legal pad. And if a distraction comes up, like, oh gosh, I forgot to pick up the dry cleaning, then you write that on a separate card and you put it at the back. And you start thinking again, and just trying to be quiet and hear in your mind. Just not think, just hear, just listen. And when very positive ideas come into your mind, you write those down on a card. If another distraction comes up, you take the card from the back of the deck. That's your to-do list. You know, I got to drop off this at so-and-so's house or whatever, and you write your distractions on that one card, but you don't allow them to interrupt your sort of mind work that you're doing. And over the course of 4 to 8 hours, you will come away with a stack of cards or a list on your yellow legal pad of some pretty important things in your life that you want to have, want to be, the right kind of people that you want to associate with. You'll start to see a plan developing. Maybe another 3 months to 6 months, you want to go do it again and again and again until it starts to get really crystal clear in your mind. So you can, if it's about a house, you can describe the house. You could describe it to me in, vividly, inside, outside, the patio in the back, the sauna, the jacuzzi. Or you could describe it, everything, the kitchen, everything. Why? Because it's been in your mind. You've been visualizing it all this time. And if you do the same thing with a purpose, that you begin to feel there's something rising up inside of you. Some kind of passion starts to come up, and you go, wow, what if we could accomplish this? What if we could have a tiny dent in the universe? What if we could? And this is how Bill Gates, this is how Phil Knight, the head of Nike, this is how Steve Jobs thought. If we could just make a little change. Bill Gates said, if I could just get people to spend more time in front of their PC than their TV. The PC being a business and educational tool as opposed to TV being more of an entertainment tool. And he changed the world. So that's it. I've taken too much time, I know, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Bob. If anybody does have a question for Bob, I'm going to let you go ahead and raise your hand. We might take one or two. I don't want to keep this going too long. If nobody raises their hand, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass this off to Scott, because I know, Scott, you have something that you want to add. And Scott, I can't say enough about you. How you've turned into this amazing leader from this young gentleman since I've known you, and seeing you grow with Robert, and just since he's taken you under his wing and really taught you, I'm just really, really amazed. Scott, do you want to share with us? You have a little something to share with us to add to our topic today?
I need to get your address so I can send you a check.
Love you, Scott. Go ahead.
Thanks for all the kind words. I just wanted to say thanks, Bob, for that golden nuggets there. I was taking little notes there, so I just want to go ahead and say I've known you for a long time, and I appreciate you, and it's great to know you're around. And I don't know what position you are, but it's good to be seeing you. So I want to go ahead and just say, failure. I wanted to fail. I wanted to quit so many times. So, failure. Pretty much, I want to read a quote that I found quoted by Winston Churchill, and it says this: "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue with that counts." So, what I'm doing is I'm giving you guys permission to go out and fail, because there's lots of people that wanted to go and quit, and I'm one of them. So, just want to go ahead and add that quote. Do you want to add anything, Melody?
Thank you, Scott. And I think the key word in there was courage.
Yeah.
So many times we lose the courage to keep moving forward. We don't want to fail again. We're afraid of that, and it paralyzes us. And I want you guys to embrace that failure, really. And it was really hard for me to do. It still is, but it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it, because you continue to grow and grow and grow, and you will hit the success that you're looking for. Thank you so much, Bob, for joining us. I could keep you talking, and I've got tons of questions that I would love to have you answer, but I don't want to keep you too long. I really value your time. So honored to have you with us today. I do have, and I would love for you to join our team call anytime. I think everybody, yay. We loved what you had to share with us. Thank you. I respect you so much. I do have one thing that I want to add, and that is, and see if I can read this without my glasses. No. The line between failure and success is so fine that we are often on the line and don't know it. How many times have men thrown up their hands at a time where just a little more effort, just a little more patience would have achieved that success? A little more effort, and what seemed to be a hopeless failure may turn into a glorious success. And that's by Albert Hubbard. You know, don't give up, guys. What we have here is really, if you follow what Robert has given us with just in the diamond training, just within the diamond training, you can have success. If you want to go bigger, faster like I did, if you wanted to get results now rather than later, you know, that's when I made the decision to ask Robert to personally mentor me. And I've seen the people, the lives, the many, many lives that he has touched, and I know how valuable Robert is, and his time and his knowledge that he shares with us. Bob, do you have any closing words?
Well, Randy said, love me some, Bob. I put something about Scott over there. Listen, I was there daily with Scott and with Melody in a business together, daily. And the hurdles that we went through in that business, all of us, because of the nature of the company and the business, there were some amazing challenges that happened. And both Scott and Melody had health problems that they were battling at the same time. And so seeing them just constantly overcoming. There was the guy, I can't remember his name really quickly, but he wrote showing up for success, a little short story about showing up for success, and that's what I think of when I think of Scott and Melody, is they showed up every day. They showed up for success, and the point of that article was you can't show up for success every day and not get it. If you show up for success, you're going to get it. And watching them mature into the leaders that they have become. So, Randy, I don't know you that well yet, but you already have a great story. And Doug, you were there to watch them as well, so you know what you can testify that what I'm saying is true. They've showed up for success every single day. And you know, somebody once asked the question, well, how long does it take? You know, or when do I quit or whatever? You know, well, the point is you learn that it's not about quitting. You show up for success at a higher level. That's Scott Kloster, right? He just shows up. He's been showing up for success at a higher and higher level, and he has the following because of that. So it's a pleasure for me. Your team is an inspiration to me to see the other people that are coming along. It's truly a blessing for the company, and I know it is for you, Melody. But you know, you and Scott, I've gotten to personally watch you, so it's sort of more of a personal thing for me. But that's all I want to add. It's a long call, but I think it was a good call. And I'm excited. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm on Facebook. I'm easy to find. If I can help any of you any way, I'm here to do it. Like she said, we're all one big family.
Thank you so much, Bob. And I can't believe that I got Bob Cline on our team call, guys. You know, that rocks. Thank you so much. Doug, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you. Do you have anything that you would like to add or say at this time before we close the call today?
Yes, I do. I again want to thank Melody for putting together this team call every week. New information that inspires us and helps us build our business every week. And I want to thank Scott for his words of wisdom, and Bob Cline, what a special guest. Great friend. I've known you for quite a long time, and I learn from you more and more every time I listen to you. And I just want to say that life is too short not to challenge yourself, to grow, further, faster, and beyond your wildest dreams. So thanks again, and everybody have a wonderful week. See you on the Pro Show tomorrow, or tonight, rather. See you on the Pro Show tonight,
6 p.m. Pacific.
Diamond Call.
See y'all there. God bless.